Okay, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. Is it coming? Is it coming? It's live! Hey, everybody! Happy New Year, everybody! I'm so excited for the new year and what it has to bring. Are you so excited?
Yes.
Isn't it weird with my new phone? It's so dark right here, you can't even see what's going on. It's tricky, tricky, tricky. I hope we're on the right page on Facebook. Are we on the right page? Okay, good. It was looking a little slow loading here. Okay. Oh, hi, Brittany. Happy New Year. That's exciting. I like seeing people's comments and actually getting to read it where it doesn't go too fast for me. So, yeah, so we are in the house today with Addie. Addie is one of our stylists, and she texted me yesterday, can you do a haircut for me? And it's very rare that I find time to do a haircut, as you'll notice by my ends, because I've been trying to cut my own hair for I don't know how long now, and I keep forgetting or putting it off or doing something, I'm not sure. And then since I switched back to the Power Couple, you know, I'm really quite happy with my hair again. I was getting a little peeved with my hair trying the new shampoo samples. Did anyone else? Deandra, blonde. Oh my gosh, I was just ready to like lose it on my hair. And finally I switched back and now I'm excited about my hair again. So that's why one of today's gifts is definitely Power Couple, because I am so excited about Power Couple and how much it has to offer for your hair and your life. I feel like it gives me so much more confidence when your hair is like performing well for you. Does anyone else get that? I mean, because it's life. It's not life, but it's part of my life. Okay, so anyway, I'm rambling. And today, so Addie asked if I would do a haircut for her today. And I was thinking it would be a cool thing to do live for you guys, since I think there's a really great style and Addie just happens to be doing exactly that style. So I'm excited that everyone will get to see how this cut comes together. And a lot of people ask like whether I cut wet or whether we cut dry hair. So I'm gonna give you my take on it, and it's just my view on it. Every hairstylist can look at it different. So basically the way I view cutting is that usually I do cut wet for precision, and then I do cutting dry for detailing. So what I mean by that is, like when you have all the hair wet, you can keep it consistent and the cut can be a cleaner cut. And then when I cut dry, it's more for shaping around the person's face or how their hair is going to lay, or different things like that, different like curves and growth patterns that play into it that you can't necessarily see when the hair is wet. So that's the way I prefer to cut. I have not done the wet cut yet for her. I'm just going to dampen it. It's, you know, just because her hair is just kind of damp right now. So I might just cut as is, and then what we'll do is we'll wet it down and dry it fully so that we can see the shape and build in you know, the exact shape that we want. So that's what I'm thinking for today. I don't know, you guys got any ideas? Sound good? Anybody? Is that a good plan? Okay, so hopefully everybody had a great Christmas and a happy New Year so far. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I think I don't have a blow dryer in here though, if I was just realizing that we might have to get that set up for, so you guys will hear noise in the background while they're trying to find a blow dryer for me, I'm sure. But I don't need it right away anyway, so. Okay, so now we'll get Addie all in front of the camera. You have to show them your awesome sleeves, how they zip. It's so cool. I like that. It's a cute feature on a sweater. Yes, very neat, Addie, very neat. Should we have you scoot forward just a bit, or you think we're okay? Do you guys see, let's see the bottom. Can you guys see the bottom okay of her hair? Because it's so dark on my phone that it's hard to tell. What would you say? Okay. Yeah, you're good? Okay, cool. Thanks, Deandra. I was waiting for them to comment on out there. Okay, so while I'm cutting and everything, make sure you guys give me questions, because I'm, you know, that's where it's tricky, is to concentrate on what you want to shape the hair like versus how to speak while you're creating that shape. So
we already got a question about how often should you trim or cut your hair.
Okay, so I recommend 6 weeks to keep your hair in a certain shape, but if you're doing more of like a grow out, it's like 8 weeks. If you're like in a real tailored shape, for me, I go like months and months. So I don't even know how to describe exactly how long you can go. But I wonder how long it's been. What's the last time I cut? you guys would know because I cut in front of you, I'm sure.
It was
So,
a while ago.
yeah.
It was a while ago.
It was at least a
Yours
month.
lot.
Yeah, mine has grown a lot, and it is definitely due. Like I need to get to cut it, but it's not a very exciting cut because literally all I have to do is like cut those two little snippets there. So you know, it just depends on what kind of shape your hair stays in, how you treat it, how much you color it. Like if you're a person that colors quite often, you'll want to think about trimming more often because the more chemical treatment you do to your hair, the more often you're gonna have to cut it. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do with Addie is she wants these lighter pieces off. So we're going to take those ends and we're going to, the goal is, I think for this cut is to get her front face frame a little bit longer because I think you want it more all one length, correct? Okay, so we won't be taking much from her face frame, but we can talk about face frame and what we would do, if you weren't growing it out or something for people if they're interested in that. But I think right now a one length cut is very in. I would think one length is what most people are looking for. I don't see a lot of bangs right now or anything like that. So what I want people to know is that when you're discussing a haircut with a stylist, you would like to think about, I would like you to think about how much your hair shrinks when it dries. And I think that's really important for people to know. Like my hair does not shrink a lot when it dries, but some people have a lot of shrink when their hair dries. And what would you say yours falls into, Addie? Do you know?
Yeah, like a medium, because I kind of do have like an actual wave to my hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's right now it's not as wavy, but it is usually wavier than this. So.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and that's one of the things you have to compensate for when you're cutting. So like if I didn't, take the pieces and really pull them so that they're tight, then I could get a very inconsistent cut when it's dry. So like when it's wet, it kind of naturally stays more together unless your hair is really curly. So, and curly cuts are a whole different ball game, and we'll probably do Kinley's cut not long from now. I don't know when they have a day off of school. Do you, Tammy? We should figure that out.
I know that it's on the 15th, but I don't know what date that is.
Okay, so we'll be looking to do a curly cut soon for those of you who are interested in a curly cut.
I think it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay. So let me show you the back of Addie's hair so you can see what length she's at. Okay. So what we're going to do is work towards taking, she wants this all more caught up to each other, but her goal in the end is to grow her hair out. So one of the things I have to consider as a stylist is, if I take all of this and put her up here, she's going to go into shock. Like people that are trying to grow their hair out you don't want to go in and really say, hey, yeah, I want one length because, after discussing with Addie, that was what we're saying is she wants this caught up to this. But I'm telling you, if I cut this all off, she's going to go into shock because I've talked to her further and she said, well, I want to grow it out and I'd go into shock if I was in a bob. So I don't think most people can realize that this is a bob. So if I cut this all the way across like that, even though she wants them leveled and evened out, that I won't do that because I talked to her further. So I think, when you're getting on the same page with your stylist and you're talking to them about what cut you are looking to get into, you need to consider all of those things. Like, because in the beginning, right, Addie, I would say our discussion was like, get it all one length and get it even.
Yeah.
Right. So, at first thing I was like, oh, okay, good. Then I'll just take it to that length. But then later on, we showed her a picture of a bob and she was like, no, I would die.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly where, we have to make sure that we're on the same page in regards to what she's thinking and what I'm hearing. It's always a tricky thing to establish the right vernacular with you and your stylist. Sorry, I like my gray showing, so I don't have to get this all on my layers. I wanted to show you guys my Spiritual Gangster shirt. Yep, I did. I got one. I like it. Spiritual Gangster.
It's a gangster.
It's neat. It's neat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to work off of this side and see what length I could take it to and still be within reason. Okay, so that's what I did is I just pulled that back And I was thinking, okay, so I think if I go about here with the cut and take it to that level, I could probably get her close to the window of what she's wanting to see in the end. And that's healthy hair. Okay, and it looks healthy already. It looks pretty healthy. So I'm gonna take a basic, so this is probably gonna look crooked to you guys because of, you know, where I'm taking it and everything, but I'll detail this whole cut after. I just wanna show you guys the basic premise of it. Okay, so this is, you know, I just did a blunt cut, okay? And the way you do a blunt cut is your shears are parallel with the floor. And that, you know, you want your scissors flat for a point, for a blunt cut. Because I wanted her hair to feel really thick at the bottom. I think that's really relevant right now, and I think that's the way most people want their hair to be, is really thick at the bottom. But at the end, what I'll do is I'll go in and detail with point cutting a little bit, just to give it a little bit of shattered look, or we might go in and add a little bit of layering in throughout. It depends on what happens when I cut the interior. So this is a perimeter part of your hair, and this is the interior, okay? So when I go in and look at the interior, you'll see she has some that's shorter here and doesn't reach all the way to the bottom. So it's important to pay attention to those pieces as well, to make sure that they also get attention and can grow out healthy. So, okay, so I wonder how crooked I did from the side. Usually I was like all down and, you know, into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and touch up a couple of those pieces real quick. And then I'll go into the face frame and interior.
What size/brand are your shears?
My shears, oh man, I bought these when I was in school, guys. It's a long time ago to figure out the size. 5.5 inches, and it's Sukotto, Sukotto. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. So, you know, I've just loved them forever. I love these because they have like a swivel on them. So it can be comfortable, so my hand doesn't get like, you know, what's that thing that hairstylists always get? Does anyone know?
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah, carpal tunnel, yeah. I didn't want to get that. Little did I know I wouldn't be cutting hair for very much after a couple years of doing hair. Little did I know I would be talking to you guys all the time instead. Okay, maybe not all the time, once a week. It's not all the time, it's some of the time. Okay, so now I'm just kind of coming around the side, and there's many ways to, you know, follow the perimeter around. It's just the way I'm doing it for you guys. I don't have a set, like a lot of stylists have a set pattern that they cut in, and I think that's really great for like the technical cutters. I'm more of a how does it suit you cutter, so I want to see how it's living on you and where it's picking up, and if it, you know, accentuates your eyes in the right way, or, you know, whether it's accentuating the colors. So I'm more of an artistic cutter, and so, you know, I do things a little bit different, as we've all noticed, I think.
Jacinda, they want to know, what are the benefits of a blunt cut?
The benefits of a blunt cut. Okay, so if you had very fine hair, it'll give you like a thicker look down here. Then, you know, I like a cut that's lived in. Nobody likes that like exactly straight line. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. You know, sometimes you see it on the runway or something, like an exactly straight line, and that's great for, you know, for some cuts. But I think most cuts, what you want is it to just look thick, because if your hair gets too thin down here, it almost disappears, and then you can't even see it, and then that hair is going away anyway. So like if you're looking for length and your hair gets so thin down here, people just look past it anyway, and they don't even see that hair anyway. So a blunt cut gives you more structure down there to make it feel and look heavier and give you a more defined line. So that way you can see her hair still looks very thick all the way to the bottom, which is important. But sometimes people want like it to look like a more lived in look and not so blunt. And so you just have to know which look you would like. Okay. So now I'm just gonna, for health reasons, I wanna go ahead and look at this interior and get this to exactly where I'm just going through and taking out the minimal just to get that very face frame front like catching up, because if it gets too thin, it'll just kind of erode away, and then you won't even notice it's there, just like I was talking about when the length gets too long and thin. I can't remember who I think Kendrick's girlfriend Chol, I was looking at hers, and I just took off like that thin part, the part where people would see through it anyway, and then your hair gets looking longer faster.
And Addie, do you use the power couple?
Yes, I do. I love it. It's good stuff.
What is the difference for the power couple for you, Addie?
I mean, I definitely just think it's made my hair healthier in general with all the bleaching and coloring I've done with my hair before. And
How many colors do you think you've had your hair?
like every color you could have it
Yeah,
possibly, but
literally.
like green or yellow.
Yeah,
That's about it.
she's had purple, blue, turquoise, pink.
Yeah, quite a few.
She's had lots of colors, and she just went brown last, right? And then
Yeah.
before this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And how often is too much coloring, they're asking?
That's where Addie and I will have a differing of
Yeah.
opinions. So what would you say, Addie? I want to hear your answer.
I mean, it depends on like what you're getting done.
Mhm.
So if you're just getting like, normal color, like every 4 to 6 weeks is probably a good average. If you're like doing stuff where I used to do, where you're like bleaching your hair and getting like pink colors and stuff like that, I would color my hair like every 3 weeks just because of fading and stuff. But obviously that's gonna do more harm, more damage, and you have to really learn how to take care of your hair. So
Yeah, and for me, I think like if you're doing those vibrant colors, and I think a lot of times they change them fast, I would prefer that people would stay in the vibrant color over and over for a while, so that you're not having to go in and bleach and change and vary, because different colors require different levels underneath. So I would like people to stay in, like when you're doing those vibrant colors, more into like an 8-week window, or something like that if you can. So a lot of that consists of, and I've never had the vibrant colors in my hair, so I've never lived it. I have, however, had my daughter with it, and it was just a nightmare. She was like, yeah, it was great. It was great coloring, but she, like, her panic about it being gone was like a nightmare for me. She was like putting it in coconut oil, and then she didn't want to wash her hair, and I was like, this is a nightmare. Like, it is a complete nightmare for me and Araya. So, next time we'll address it differently. I was like, don't worry, Araya, our products are okay for color. Like, it's okay. And she's like, Mom, they say I need to do sulfate free. And I was like, yeah, Araya, I know, I understand that. Like, it's already in there. Don't be panicky about this. You're going to be okay. It was really funny. It was quite the dilemma in our house of how Araya could figure that out. Okay.
also too, when you're doing vibrant colors, you can like go in an order that you can just go over top of the colors you had. So like when I did mine, I did like pink, and then I went over top of that with blue, and like it just, because once it fades to a certain level, you can just go over top of that if it's able to, like if it's at the certain level that it needs to be. So that's something I did too, was kind of go in order. That way I wasn't bleaching my hair as much also.
So you go up the rainbow or down the rainbow?
Yeah, you go up. Yep.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, like that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Red is the top. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it depends on how you're thinking of it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good suggestion. Okay, so when we're doing the interior of the cut, what I want you guys to always consider is like where you part your hair. So do you always part on this side, would you say, Addie?
Yes.
Okay, and do you like this side to be as full as this side?
I would like it to be. I
Okay.
don't have a lot of hair because of how far I parted over, that this side is that thick
Okay.
compared to the other side, but I mean,
Okay.
if it could, it'd be nice.
Okay, so what I would like to suggest then is taking this and really angling it for that. So, because right now you're pretty even on it, what I'd like to do is cut it more at an angle to account for where it's going to fall. So what I mean by that is this piece is going to fall here, and then all these pieces are going to fall over here. And you see how this will then be higher than this side. See the difference in length? So what I'd like to do is catch this up just a little bit and have this shorter to make up the difference. Do you see what I mean? So that they fall basically symmetrically, so that you can, that's usually in the dry part of the detailing that I really do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it slightly at an angle. And then once we see it fall, I can go ahead and touch that up later. I think that's a very important part because I think a lot of people kind of, my one friend, she used to say, I feel bald on the one side. And I could never figure out what she meant by that because I just don't have that problem, you know, because I part my hair on different sides all the time, but she always parted hers on the same side. So now that I've cut a lot of people's hair, I understand that it's because of, you know, where they part and things like that, that they feel like that. So we can compensate by making this side shorter so that they hit at the same place. And I think that's a really important thing for people to know, that that part their hair regularly on the same side, and especially if you have a deep part. Unless that doesn't bother you.
Jacinda, do people actually switch the side of their part? Is that something recommended?
Let me see. Do people switch the side of their part? Yes, we do. See? So people are asking if you can switch the side of your part. Yes, please, people, like, feel free, live a little. Try different sides. See? There, I just switched it. So that's how easy it is, literally. You can go in and blow dry your hair a different way. You can change up the part. You can try center parts. All of that is just depending on, for me, like what I feel like that day. And yeah, it does feel a little bit different. Like Deandra just tried to do it. Did you just try doing it? Yeah, Deandra just flipped hers over and was like, oh, you know, you don't feel like yourself at first. Or, you know, like my daughter Araya, when I tried to switch hers when she was little, she was so little, she was used to like parting it this way, and then she would wipe it across her face like this, and it was just a disaster. So I was trying to teach her at a young age that it's okay to switch your part, but she was in such a funny habit about it that I couldn't. So, you know, I think, you know, you might, like, I like to suggest that for people that are like needing more volume in the front or something. If you switch it to the other side, you'll probably get more volume because your hair just learns to lay down that way if you're always going that same part. So, you know, it's a little getting used to once in a while, but if you go center part or something, you'll see. I tried to get Tammy to go center part, and it looked so good on her, and she was so like Melania Trump looking, like it was real pretty, like the way it fell, and she just could not do it. I was like, come on, Tammy, come on,
I gotta try it again, because I do want to switch it up.
Yeah, it's fun, because like, especially like, I mean, think about it, people. Let's think about, have you ever wore a pair of jeans for too long and you put them on after getting a new pair of jeans and you're like, this pair of jeans sucks? Like, imagine your part, like you change it up for a little bit. And sometimes it's a little different getting used to a high-waisted or a low-waisted jean, right, at first. But same thing with your part, like change it up, it's okay. Live, you know, it's fun to like try new things, guys, new styles. It's fun. You should try it all the time. New year, new, guys. Okay. So now I'm going to check into how these pieces marry into the perimeter. So basically what I'm doing, since I know she wants to grow it out and get it more towards one length, up here I'm not trying to take a ton of length. It's just about making sure that everything blends together and isn't having any real funny pieces. And then after that, we'll go in and see if the ends should stay as blunt as I cut them, or if we need to change that a little bit. And every cut, like I don't do the same thing on every person's cut. It will depend on what cut they're wanting and how they want it to look in the end.
And any tips for cowlicks, Jacinda?
Yes, for sure. Tips for cowlicks. I wonder if it's front or back. If you have one in the back, the way I would treat it, this is great, I can do it on somebody else, this is so nice, otherwise I have these explanations like just on myself. So what I would do, hold on, I have to get my cord over here. Okay, so what I would do is I would prep the hair with upstaged because it helps your hair hold in place. And then, what I do, oh my gosh, did I just spray you guys? That'd be funny. Okay, then what you can do, and you can do this in the front of your hair as well, if you have a front cowlick, so I'll show you what you do. Then you just brush it from side Oops, let me go this way. Okay, so you brush it to the side, and then you brush it to the other side. And then you put it down in place. And what that does is when you're going from one side to the other, what you're doing is you're breaking the natural fall tendency so that it doesn't control itself, you get to control it. So you're teaching it where you want it to fall that day with heat, in the same way you teach your hair to curl or straighten or whatever. So it's about controlling the natural fall tendency here. And that will help, like, especially if you have that problem, like on day 2 or day 3, you can easily, that will help it stay better, and then you can re-control it if, you know, on day 2 or 3, if it didn't listen to you well enough. And the more times you do it, the more, like, the better you'll get at controlling it. So that's a really, I think that's a really helpful hint. And you can do that same thing in the front if you have a strong colic. You can spray the thermal protectant in, well, our thermal protectant, because it has like hold in it, so that it can help you put the hair where you want it to be instead of where it wants to be. Okay. Good question. I like Caleb's question because they can be tough. Oh, my son has such a bad one right now. I don't know what happens, but all of a sudden his hair gets longer, and then all of a sudden the cowlick wants to free up more, and I'm like, oh, it's so troublesome. It happens when they're either too short or too long. You can really like see the difference. Okay, so how are we looking? Is it looking like it's falling pretty even? Do you want to go ahead and part your hair for me? I would like to see where you part it so I can see where they're hitting compared to one versus the other.
I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good?
Yep,
Okay.
that's good.
Now, do you change your part, Addie?
No.
No. Okay.
I've tried and I can't.
You can.
I know I
You just chose
can,
not to.
I just, it's awkward.
Okay. So I think for the most part, we've got, a pretty good cut here. What I want to do is take this angle out now. So I go in and take, lots of people would cringe at the way I just cut. That was a real backward angle, but I didn't want to get in front of the camera for it for you guys. And this way my comb's in the way. It's all kinds of funny things. Okay, so you can see that because her hair has a little bit of layering in it, it doesn't look, I think, overly blunt. It does look like nice and thick down there though, but not so thick and blunt that I would want to like really remove a lot of weight on this side. We'll see how this side looks when I get over here. So. Go ahead.
And how do you cut layers in your hair without it looking too choppy, just in the,
How do you cut layers without it looking too choppy?
yes.
Okay, so how do you cut layers without it looking too choppy? Okay, so a lot of it has to do with your hair type, and it also has to do with how your stylist cuts hair. So, there's many different ways that you could put layers in. What I did was a really blended layer because I don't like the transition to be really strong right now. I want it to be very blended and very natural looking. I don't want any layers to show. Actually, I remember when I was in hair school and this mom and daughter wanted two different looks. The mom wanted the daughter to be very punk and the daughter wanted it to be more natural. So the daughter and I discussed it and we got her hair looking very natural and really pretty and blended, and she had lots of layers in. And the mom said, no, I wanted 2 layers. And I was like, 2 layers is a bad haircut. Like, if you can see 2 layers, then that's not what you want. Unless it's like really on purpose and like, in the 80s, like when you needed certain like really stair step kind of things, like, okay, I get that. But the daughter didn't want that. So that was always that's a tricky window, like trying to help the daughter and the mother get the style they want when they're 2 different things. But yes, for the most part, layers being blended is more about like how you control it. Like here, if I cut like this, I'm layering it. Okay, so there's many different ways to cut layers in. You can also cut them, like in a vertical section like this. I can also layer this way. I can come in and layer like this. So what I'm doing is creating a line so that they look like they're blended together, right? So that way the line won't step dramatically like that as you go to the front to back of her hair. So it depends on what style you're creating, like how you would go, how you would cut in the layers. What's funny over
Sorry.
here? I'm over here, I'm hearing them laughing and I'm like losing track of what's going on.
Kendrick said I had those stair steps in the 90s because I kept it so real.
Kendrick said he had those steps in the 90s because he kept it so real. He did. And guess what? I would do like braids in his hair and like lots of braids. Kier and Kendrick both had braided, dreaded hair with like steps on the side. It's because I was so artistic when I was little and had little brothers. I was like, ooh, let me shave some stuff in. Actually, I think they did get their hair cut by other people too. I think I just cut my older brother's hair at that time. Been cutting since I was little. Don't tell the hair cutting board. No, I'm just kidding. Would I get in trouble for that, cutting when I was little? I doubt it. It's after you have a license or something? I don't know. I don't know all those technical rules about that stuff.
Usually
Other people
like
keep me
rules.
straight on that. Okay. So I think, for the most part, we're pretty good on this. I'm gonna touch up just these like little face frame. This is what I call like micro cutting. Like I just wanna cut off like just enough to keep those healthy, but it's not even enough to really show you guys what I'm cutting because it's so minor trims. Like those are what I do when I do a grow out cut. Like if you're doing a grow out cut, like do not, like you don't want a pile of hair on the floor. You want like nothing on the floor. You should see, even though I've taken some length, you should still see like there's not much hair here. It's really very minimal because I know she wants to grow it out. I think it's looking pretty good, Addie.
Yes.
I like it. I know, why? Why in that fog,
Yeah,
it's like
like
an
the
all
thing
fog
behind it.
right there for us, like all dark. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and, since her hair is dried pretty fast, I can't imagine my hair drying that
It
fast.
dries in like 10 minutes.
It is awesome.
It is crazy.
Someone would like to see you demonstrate how to curl in long bangs that she's growing out.
Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of straightening. Do you want it curled or straightened?
I mean, whatever you want to do, it's fine.
Well, tell me, what are you in the mood for? You're my client, so you get to say. Unless I'm trying to force a new style on you, and then I'll tell you what I want. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what is it?
Oh, I don't care straight. I like
Straight?
to wear it straight the first day.
Perfect, so let's do that. So I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit about straightening with the brush. So we're just gonna go in, run the brush down first, and I noticed I wanna turn the heat down for you just a bit. I'm gonna go to 325 for you. Okay, so you can either run a brush first, or if you have a heat resistant comb, you can go ahead and put that in first, and then and you can straighten like that. I was laughing so hard because we did a survey and people said they will pay more for a straightener than a curling iron, which I think is awesome. It's really funny, but we were talking about how we should start talking about how this straightens as well, because you get both. You don't have to choose that. You can do both. It's fun. Any more questions, guys? Girls? Ladies?
Do you do house calls?
When you say one length, you mean no layers, right?
Yes. When I say one length, I'm talking no layers, yeah.
So then, how do you get dimension in fine hair without layers?
So I do fake layers so I do what I call reverse extension layers. And this is a thing I made up, so don't go to your hairstylist asking, and they're gonna be like, no, I don't know what that means. So basically what I do is I go in and I cut in things that will give you more, pieces that will give you more, what am I looking for?
Depth.
Movement and depth. So basically what I would do is I would just go in and I'd cut a couple here and here and here. And what that does is it frees this up to give more volume up here. And so they're really small pieces when you do that. I mean, real small pieces. Have you ever looked, have you ever seen somebody with extensions and their hair is flying all over and then they have like one piece that flies and the rest doesn't. It's because the extensions don't fly and the real hair does. So what I do is I take what I imagine as being those little pieces that would be hanging out over the extensions that are flying, and I give those freedom in a real look so that it gives you more volume.
And we did that on Kinley's hair too, to give
Yeah.
the curls, the little pieces, which we'll
Yeah.
probably have to do again.
That's right, and yeah, we did that. When you're cutting curly hair, you can free up a couple of curls to give more, so you don't you negate that triangle effect, and I think that's really important to do.
Oh, can you show how to straighten without getting the crimp marks?
Yeah. So basically, what you do is make sure that you don't squeeze too tight, you don't lean in. You want to follow the hair more rolling out like this, and then you want to make sure that the main thing is don't squeeze too tight. I think a lot of people are used to ceramic, and that causes a lot more, you have to squeeze tighter with ceramic to get a faster, or to get a heat transfer, because titanium will be a faster heat transfer, so you don't have to squeeze as tight. And that goes across the board on here. Please, please, please do not squeeze too tight. I see so many things of people squeezing too tight. I'm like, oh, if your paint is wearing off, you are squeezing too tight, please set up a session with one of our stylists. Right, Addie?
Yeah.
How many people would you say squeeze too tight?
Oh, like everyone?
Yes.
Every appointment I do, I pretty much have to, it's a rare amount that are squeezing or not squeezing tight.
Yeah, I agree. And people always tell me, well, no, it's the iron, and I'm like, no, it's your tension, I
Yeah.
promise, because you don't need to squeeze that tight, because you're now switching to a professional grade iron if you weren't before.
And I also feel like people will be like, no, I'm not squeezing tight, but they still are, and I think people don't realize that you don't even have to close the plates all the way. You can actually have a little gap in between the plates, which will help a lot more. So people think they're not squeezing tight just because they don't feel like it, but they still are just because they have the plates completely shut sometimes.
Yeah, it's so true. The goal is just to, when you iron a shirt, do you have to no, you don't have to push that hard. You're more afraid of burning the hole in the shirt, aren't you? I'm like, ooh, let me just coast over this reel, and then I go, oh well, that didn't do it, so I should try a little bit tighter, or more pressure. So I would rather that you err to the side of less pressure than more pressure. Don't burn a hole in the shirt, and in this case, your hair. Don't dehydrate your hair. That's what you'll do if you do too much tension. And we know it over and over. We know exactly what causes it, and we know exactly how to fix it. So our stylists do that all day, every day. That's what they're doing.
And I think people just naturally think they have to close tight because they think of a straightener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like a straightener.
Yeah,
Until you get used to
looks like
it.
a straightener.
But even on a straightener, that's what I'm saying.
You
Even when you have this straightener, you don't need to squeeze tight, because it's a faster heat transfer, because it's titanium and it glides really smooth. So because it's a faster heat transfer, you don't have to push, it'll just transfer the heat easily. Okay.
And Jacinda, do you have certain temperatures on the Pro recommended for different types of hair?
I think a lot of it depends on what curl you want, or how straight you want it, or things like that. I lived in straight, not stick straight right now. I lived in straight is my excitement right now, so that's what I'm doing. It's it still has volume and movement. It's not straight off the runway, crazy stick straight right now, because I don't think that's I don't know, I don't love it for the style right now.
How do you use the straightener closer to the scalp without burning it?
How do you use it without burning your scalp? Okay. I have to think about that, because I don't know how you do. Oh, you could burn it by putting just that plate. Okay, so what you can do is you can turn this to the outside of your head, right? So the free plate, the plate that's free like this, you can just use that like that. Do you see how I did that? You can just go in and, no, you can't see that. Hold on, let me turn to the side. Let me see how I can show you that. So you can go in close to the scalp by leaving the exposed plate and just rubbing that on the hair like that. And that can help straighten really close to the scalp if you're interested. Whatever you do, don't do this one to your head.
I've seen
No,
that done
it's
on
exposed.
FaceTime. Like,
Oh,
and
no.
I just like, and then I'm like, oh, this is awkward. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Like,
Yeah,
wrong side.
yeah. See, like I can get real close to her scalp like this just by doing that, and then I get all that straight. Did anyone see that trick? It's a neat trick. It's a good one. I like that trick. But if you need to get like, I'm gonna try getting real close right here and see. There. Yeah, I like that. We have any more questions?
I learned to curl with my right hand while being left-handed, but the straightening part drives me crazy. It feels so awkward. Any tips?
Okay, left hand straightening. Oh, interesting. Let me try it and I'll see what I learn. I'll do it on myself. Left side straightening drives her crazy. Do you know any tips?
Left hand.
Left hand, yeah. Do you have any tips, Addie, offhand that you can think of?
I don't know if I've ever had to teach a left-handed person to straighten with their left hand.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I couldn't say either on that one.
yeah.
I've never had that.
Okay. Well, there we go. All healthy and trimmed up. Let's see if we can show everybody real quick and then I'll do the straightening. Okay. All right. The big reveal. Nice healthy hair. Exciting stuff.
Yes.
So exciting.
Needed it.
Yeah. How's that feel? Is it kind of, and I'll double check this when I'm not on camera and not at an angle when we get back to my office.
I mean, I can't really see it, so it feels good.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
It looks.
You know when every cut feels better when you get these capes off.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because they are not fun to wear. You're like, oh, you're just sitting in the mirror in front of
You
the
look fat, your head looks huge.
everything. You're just like, dang it, I don't love this cape.
I can run my fingers through it at the end, so that's good.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
plus.
always a plus. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so straightening, left-handed. You're gonna learn with me live. This should be interesting. Okay, so basically what I would do is I would take your grip and change it. So if you're right-handed and you're straightening, I say to hold the iron like this, and then all you have to do is put the iron up to your head horizontally, most likely. If you want to do straightening with your left hand, just pick it up the opposite, and then you have. The key is to make sure that these plates go up to your head. So left-handed like this is very easy. Even setting it down will be easy. Oh, that's cool. So left-handed, you set it down on the guide, you pick it up, and then you're ready to go. That's it. So your fingers will be behind the light, left-handed straightening. Hey, thanks for that question. That was a good one. I learned a lot. See, boop. Now I can straighten, and I can straighten.
We have a testimonial from a customer. I have the original time and I thought it was high heat that was frying my hair, so I ordered the pro and got great results. Then I realized it wasn't the high heat causing the frizz, it was the tension I was using. Now I can get great curls.
Yes, that tension is everything. So did you guys all hear that? Basically, she said that she thought the original was causing the heat damage or something, and she found out later that it wasn't the heat, it was the tension. So thank you for that. Yes, it's very true. Like the tension is everything, everything, everything. Yes, the pro makes the difference, but still, even if you're using the pro and you're squeezing too much, you will have dehydration in your hair and it will cause issues. So yeah. Should we give out power couple? And oh yeah, I didn't ever tell what we were giving today, did I? Okay, so seriously, you guys, since I've gotten back to shampooing with the power couple, like I just can't, I can't even fathom testing other shampoos right now again. Okay, so because I'm like so reinvigorated about the power couple and how excited I am about shampooing with these as opposed to other things that I have to test, we're giving a set of these with each iron today. So we're giving a original iron in the power couple and a pro iron in a power couple. So either one of you, don't use too much tension, okay, please? Watch the tension. It's very, very important. Okay, so do we have winners?
Yes, you ready?
I am.
Which one do you want to get away first?
I like to go with the original first because it's The first one. Okay, the original and the power couple goes to
Gina Turner.
Gina Turner. Congratulations, Gina. And everybody, just so you know, all of this, any purchase you make comes with a stylist session so that the stylist can help you get the look you want, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And our stylists only book out 2 weeks, right, Addie? Is that right?
And
Okay.
it's extremely booked right now, so you
Yeah.
might have to do 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you might have to wait. Do you guys release your schedules on a certain day?
I try to.
Yeah.
I don't know quite about the other
Okay.
stylists, but I try to.
Yeah, so every 2 weeks we'll get more. And if you're really struggling and like say you have a big night coming, like our stylists try and work with you and see like we have cancellations and things like that so they can help get you in sooner. And this time of the year has a lot more busyness than other times of the year. Okay, and so the other power couple and pro goes to
Jennifer Rodenberg.
Jennifer Rodenberg. Congratulations! Happy New Year! Hope you like your new power couple and power time iron. I don't know, power pro. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so anyway, congratulations everybody. My brain is drained right now and I need lunch. Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye. Maybe bye. I can't get it to say bye.